take some time to shoot this video. And what it's about, it's it it's about a video that's on YouTube. And let me see if I can find it. And what it's saying is that what it's saying is that the literacy rate in China, Indonesia, India, if I were to average it all out, would be someplace around 60%. 60%. And what I'm saying to ChatGPT is this. Okay, let's look at this particular video. And however, I submit this is a test of the nation's, this is the best test of a nation's educational system. Let's say that there's a natural disaster, such as an earthquake in the Weimar Republic yesterday. Can one go to any place in the country and receive written directions to a local medical center? In the U.S., I have tested it all over the country. I have not received an unintelligible written instruction and directions. In Korea, I could not understand Korean, so I couldn't get instructions and measure it. In the Republic of China, I couldn't speak Chinese, so I could not actually measure it. In Mexico, it's hit or miss. Everyone can speak Spanish, that doesn't mean that everyone can write it. In Brazil, it's hit or miss. Do you get out into a rural area in particular? Person may speak Portuguese somewhat. It'll be extremely regionalized, a really regionalized dialect. Kind of like a Hatfield and McCoy dialect. Or it'll be a non-standard English dialect. It'll be like a non-standard English dialect, which 50, 60, 100 years ago, you would hear an Appalachian dialect, Midwest dialect, and there were different dialects all over the United States. In Mexico, you still hear different Spanish dialects. A mountain dialect, a coastal dialect, a western dialect, a dialect that is more indigenous than Spanish. You still hear it. Okay, in Canada and the U.S., you hear the same problems. I mean, in Canada and the U.S., you just don't have that problem. So ChatGPT is basically agreeing here. And then I'm going to go down, and it's talking about, yeah, that's the best way to measure. And it's looking at a grid, and it said written clarity. Can they write? Now I'm not talking about spelling and orthographics. I'm just talking about, can they write out basically a laundry list? Go 5 blocks, turn left. Go 3 more blocks, turn right. Then you will see the sign that says, okay, localization, universal acceptability, public expectations and norms, systemic reinforcement. Does the system reinforce these principles? I mean, now, in the U.S. educational system, the first thing that they really want to stress is how to take instruction orally, then how to give instruction orally, then how to provide instruction, how to take instruction in written form, and then how to take instruction, and then how to give instructions in written form. In the United States, that's extremely important, and it's emphasized all the way across the board. All the way across the board. Not every person in the United States can write, but nearly 97% can. So that makes your society marvelously wealthy, because in the United States, Canada, you can stop in the middle of the Yukon Territory and ask an Eskimo, how many miles is it to Yellowknife? Give me written instructions. And if the person knows the way to Yellowknife, even in a remote indigenous area of Canada, that person can write out the instructions. So ChatGPT comes down and looks at a score for how this occurs. And now I'm going to have ChatGPT read out this metric of communication in Tagalog.
Narito ang salin sa Tagalog. Ang sukatan ng komunikasyon sa panahon ng sakuna, isang praktikal na pagsubok sa sistemang pang-edukasyon ng isang bansa. Sa pagsusuri ng sistemang pang-edukasyon ng isang bansa, ang mga karaniwang pamantayan gaya ng resulta sa pagsusulit, antas ng pagkatuto at pagtatapos ng pag-aaral ay hanggang ibabaw lamang. Mas malalim na sukatan ang hindi kung ano ang alam ng mga tao, kundi kung ano ang kaya nilang gawin gamit ang kaalamang iyon, lalo na sa oras ng krisis. Ito ang nagdadala sa atin sa isang makapangyarihang tanong. Kapag may sakuna, kaya ba ng sinumang tao, saan man sa bansa, na magsulat ng malinaw na direksyon papunta sa pinakamalapit na sentrong medikal? Ang simpleng kilos na ito ay nagsisilbing salamin ng lahat ng dapat ituro ng edukasyon. Kakayahang bumasa at sumulat, kalinawan, malasakit, at kakayahang gawing aksyong pampubliko ang nalalaman. Sinusubok din nito ang lakas ng mga institusyon, kung gaano kahusay na ihanda ang mga tao sa lipunan at edukasyon upang kumilos sa gitna ng kagipitan. Sa mga bansang tulad ng Estados Unidos at Canada, ang pare-parehong kakayahan sa ganitong pagsubok ay nagpapakita na ang edukasyon ay naging bahagi ng kultura at pang-araw-araw na gawain. Sa mga bansa tulad ng Mexico at Brazil, pabago-bago ang resulta na nagpapahiwatig ng mga puwang sa abot o pagkakaisa. Sa silangang Asya gaya ng South Korea at Taiwan, kahit mataas ang antas ng akademya, hindi palaging nauuwi sa malinaw na pakikipagkomunikasyon sa publiko, lalo na sa pagitan ng iba't ibang wika o rehiyon. Ang sukatan ng komunikasyon sa panahon ng sakuna ay lampas sa ideolohiya at karaniwang pagsusulit. Ito ay nagtatanong, kaya ba ng isang mag-aral na maging tagatulong? Kaya ba ng isang matanda na magsulat ng malinaw para sa isang hindi kakilala? Kayang ulitin ba ng sistema ang ganitong kakayahan saan man, kanino man, at sa anumang kalagayan? Rubric para sa...
Okay, now I'm going to come up and I'm going to have ChatGPT read read the same thing in Spanish.
Aquí tienes la traducción completa al español. La métrica de comunicación en desastres, una prueba funcional del sistema educativo nacional. Al evaluar el sistema educativo de una nación, los indicadores tradicionales como los puntajes en exámenes, las tasas de alfabetización y los diplomas solo arañan la superficie. Una prueba más profunda no se basa en lo que las personas saben, sino en lo que pueden hacer con ese conocimiento, especialmente bajo presión. Esto nos lleva a un criterio práctico y poderoso. Después de un desastre, ¿puede cualquier persona en cualquier lugar del país escribir instrucciones comprensibles hacia el centro médico más cercano? Este simple acto sirve como indicador de todo lo que un sistema educativo debería fomentar: alfabetización, claridad, empatía y la capacidad de convertir conocimiento en acción cívica. También pone a prueba la infraestructura del sistema. ¿Qué tan bien ha sido equipada la población, tanto social como educativamente, para funcionar bajo tensión? En países como Estados Unidos y Canadá, el rendimiento constante en esta métrica sugiere que la educación ha logrado trascender las aulas y penetrar en la cultura y la práctica cotidiana. En países como México y Brasil, la respuesta es irregular, lo que indica vacíos en la cobertura o cohesión. En naciones del este asiático como Corea del Sur y Taiwán, el alto rendimiento académico no siempre se traduce en claridad comunicativa pública para todos, especialmente entre distintos grupos lingüísticos. Esta métrica de comunicación en desastres trasciende ideologías y pruebas estandarizadas. Pregunta: ¿puede un estudiante convertirse en un ayudante? ¿Puede un adulto escribir de forma que un desconocido pueda seguir sus instrucciones? ¿Puede el sistema reproducir esta capacidad a lo largo del territorio, las clases sociales y en momentos de crisis?
Okay, so you are listening to some guy on YouTube, and he's telling you about Tijuana. Hey, man, hay muchas mujeres en Tijuana. Ven a Tijuana conmigo. Vamos a Tijuana. You know. Oh, ir a México porque tiene muchas mujeres en México y es un land que está con sol, con playas, es un tierra rico. Okay, you hear somebody saying, "Ei, você quer ir ao Brasil? Porque se você está em Brasil, as mulheres estão fantásticas e você está como tu disse, que Copacabana e Rio de Janeiro e é ótimo, muito chique, mulheres praticamente desnudas." Okay, so you're hearing all of that. You're hearing all of that. And and you hear uh Eko Balikbayan, Saluzon, Ciudad Manila. Okay, so you're hearing these guys saying all this, but mostly they're just saying it in English. And you gotta know before you go. You gotta know before you go. So you can learn any language within a year. That does not mean that you can sit on the Colombian Supreme Court in a year. That doesn't mean that you can become un diputado in Mexico and go into the House of the Casa de los Diputados and debate the public issues of the day. It doesn't mean that you can go into France and pass the French citizenship test. Doesn't mean any of that. But it does mean that you can say eco, and you can say it like this, particularly in Chavacano. Eco cuerpo un bugas, y bugas in isida. Um, ¿Cuántos pesos por bugas y isida seca? Now, you can say that. You can say that within a year. And then you can detether yourself. You can detether yourself. Because already you can see that you're going to have a tremendous problem with any time you leave the United States and Canada and Europe. You're going to have a tremendous problem receiving written instructions all over the world. In Africa, people are not going to be able to always give you written instructions. In Asia, people are not always going to be able to give you written instructions. In some parts of Southern Europe, they might not always be able to give you written instructions. And written instructions are extremely valuable, especially when the written instructions are in the form of public notices. It's like in Mexico, the place is practically devoid of public notices. It's devoid of public notices. It's devoid of public notices, it's devoid of handbills, it's devoid of information. The only clear information that you're gonna get is they're still printing the newspaper. That's it. So know before you go. And the written instruction test is the most robust test that you can submit a society to. Not how many scientists they have, not how many doctors they have. It's like Cuba produces the finest doctors in the world. that does not mean that you're going to be able to go to Havana and get written instructions to the local hospital from the guy who's sleeping on the street. In the United States, you can go to the guy who's sleeping outside the liquor store in Three Below Zero, and that guy can still and take your pen and write out instructions to the nearby hospital. Yeah. So, know before you go.